and found her son, 21-year-old James, injured in his bedroom. When deputies arrived, they found 3 adults in the home with James. His mother, Nicola, who had placed the call to 911, her live-in boyfriend, Guy Hand, as well as James's best friend, Jeff Jarzbakowski, who was just staying the night. Inside the house, responders found James on his bed. Guy was diligently performing CPR when EMTs rushed in. They transferred him to the floor and continued life-saving efforts. Unfortunately, it was too late. 21-year-old James Berry was declared dead at the scene. He had suffered multiple stab wounds, including fatal injuries to his chest. Nicola, Guy, and Jeff were escorted from the house to the roadside, where a neighbor met them to provide comfort.
Listen up. Our soldiers made landfall in coalition-occupied Iwo Jima.
Both Guy and Jeff carried signs of the brutal attack, stains on their hands, arms, and elsewhere. Both had been attempting to perform life-saving measures on James before EMTs arrived. In the house, responders found a carving knife with a white handle and a 10-inch curved blade. It was bloody and sitting on the kitchen counter. Moving through the kitchen and down the hallway towards the bedrooms, a trail led where James was found by emergency responders. As they waited for detectives to arrive on scene, the group outside began to speculate and piece together what they believed happened only moments earlier. In spite of the shock and confusion of the night's events, a consensus began to emerge almost immediately. Someone else must have entered the house while they slept, and that someone had to have been James's 19-year-old girlfriend, Melanie Ian. James had been messaging with Melanie earlier that night, Jeff said, and there had been an argument. According to Jeff, James had been trying to break his bond. Sometime around 8 or 8:30, Melanie had turned up at the house, uninvited. Though she left at that time, she must have returned.
Go away. She saw your car. She pulled in. She didn't get out of the car unless someone was driving her.
We now occupy Sector Charlie.
How does she know how to get through the unlocked door when they're in the seat?
Here, talk to Jeff.
2 nights ago, she came over here with Daddy, and James heard she thought she was trying to break in, and then she saw her when she looked out the window, and then he texted her, go away, and he was got to hold her, go away. Disrespect her. I mean, he just told me today.
Taking fire on the right! Jesus! I haven't spoken.
She's always been fucking psycho, always.
She killed him!
The enemy has secured Sector Alpha. Fly drop ready to go.
Do y'all want our address?
Where's the detective coming out? We'll talk to you when we get there.
Guy reported that he locked all of the doors of the house every night. If James had already told Melanie to leave once, it's unlikely he let her in later. So, how did Melanie get inside? There was no sign of forced entry to the home. The front door was locked. So was a side door connecting to the patio. A back door, however, sat open. No one could deduce how Melanie would have been able to unlock that door initially to enter the house. Guy speculated that perhaps she had stolen a key, or alternatively, she had broken in through the garage.
She could stay with me. She would know if she took the key off the key. She wouldn't have time to put that key back on the key.
That's one!
Is she that fucking short? You know what? That would actually make perfect sense, because I remember waking up. I'm not sure what time it was, but it's probably like 11 or 12.
Taking Sector Bravo.
Contact, clear!
Yeah, she come in the front door.
Yeah, that's why
That actually makes sense.
Marking threat.
It appeared that the attack began in the kitchen and led into the bedroom. The presumed murder weapon, carving knife, likely carried back into the kitchen and left behind. Investigators rapidly determined that the knife had been taken from inside the house. It was one from Guy's collection. A butcher by trade, he owned several larger blades that were kept in the home. Indeed, Guy had used this very knife only hours earlier to carve their roast for dinner. Its usual place was the second drawer down in the kitchen
from the front!
next to the stove.
And you said those guys were hidden, right? No, they're in the second floor by the refrigerator. So that's very specific. So he knows where my knives are. Right. 8 inches and then it's 12 inches. But she knows that house better than anything.
Outside, near to the open back door on the patio table, investigators spotted a cell phone in a pink case. Near to the phone, there were drops of a blood-like substance.
Hostiles just took sector Echo.
Later, tests would confirm these small stains were blood. And that cell phone
Let's hear it.
was Melanie Dio.
Pushing the Russians out. We're on schedule.
James Barry and Melanie Dio had been high school sweethearts. They had started their relationship as friends, belonging to the same social circle at school. They shared a love of gaming and spent many hours playing together. After some time, James eventually worked up the confidence to ask Melanie on a date. From there, their romance moved quickly. The two were inseparable. James's older sister, Alexandra, reported that the family was initially thrilled for James and embraced Melanie. A shy and generally quiet young girl, she enjoyed baking at their house and cooking special meals for James and the family to share. Following his parents' divorce when he was a child, James lived with his mother, and eventually her boyfriend died as well. In the years before his death, Melanie would spend major holidays with James's family at the house in
Your helmet
Loxahatchee.
just fell to the enemy.
When he graduated from high school, James went on to study at College. This move reportedly prompted Melanie to do the same. Though she was younger than him, she was able to leave school, obtain her GED, and then follow her boyfriend into the same program. After 2 years together, the couple were as close as ever, perhaps too close. Their relationship had descended into an on-again, off-again roller coaster of highs and lows, always together, and then breaking up. Messages exchanged between them in the hours before the murder showed James trying to distance himself once again. In fact, he wanted to break up. This time, it seems, he meant to stick to it. While he played games with Jeff at home, he was also active on a gaming app where he wrote to Melanie. It might be better for us to split and just focus on ourselves rather than worrying about each other constantly. Melanie had been reportedly unreasonably jealous over one of James's ex-girlfriends. That night, he wrote, "But honestly, are you and me really happy? I'm not going back to my ex, don't worry about that at all. It's something you need to look at and accept. We're not happy." James's honest reflection on the state of their relationship was met with denial from Melanie. "I thought you are happy with me before the past few days," she wrote. Her confusion may have stemmed from a previous conversation they had in person, because James responded, "Melanie, I type my feelings better than explaining them in real life. I'm not happy."
Enemy vehicle destroyed!
"Thanks for meeting me through a leak chat," she wrote. Though the messages carried a sense of finality, investigators believed that Melanie was not willing to accept a breakup and leave things as they stood. James may not have wanted to discuss his feelings in person, but his ex-girlfriend certainly did. 3 hours after she sent that last message, past midnight on the 16th, her car responded parked in front of James's
Enemy
house
vehicle
on
down!
Glasgow Drive. While law enforcement assessed the scene, they also sought out Melanie Dio. She was not located at the home she shared with her parents. They expressed surprise that the police were looking for her at all. There was no way she could have been involved, they said. Also, they expressed concern because they had no idea where she was.
My body is not. And I frequently like a dream. I mean, like you wake up
Declaring her only a person of interest in her ex-boyfriend's murder, law enforcement issued a public waiting for assistance in locating Melanie. Meanwhile, they checked traffic cameras for captures of her license plate, and they received a few hits. It seems that Melanie had driven through the night to Maryland. Learning that Melanie had an uncle and cousins in the state, officers there were dispatched to check for her vehicle near to her relative's address. They found
Majority
it.
of sectors under control.
Oh shit, it's here. I see it. Is it? Hold on. Yes, it's here. Hold on, call Sarge now. Call it.
Maryland officers were not involved in the homicide investigation. Their instructions were to locate, verify, and take possession of the Toyota Corolla, ostensibly due to unclean holes. Their next step was to confirm that Melanie Guillaume was inside the house and not at risk of harm or of leaving.
Alright, I'm setting the tier 1 for gun-related reasons, so one of the units wants to make all efforts for them not to
Get done for!
I guess you're curious about what's going on?
Sector under control.
No, so right now all it is like I said, we got a call to check the welfare of guests. Is Melanie's here? So they just said, hey, you know, some stuff happened. Pretty much the family got concerned. They just wanted us to come and make sure she's fine, like in the right state of mind and everything like that. So is it cool if she comes out and talks to us real briefly? Like I said, we just need to make sure everything is fine before motion.
Taking control of Sector Bravo.
I mean, is it cool if we go in? Like I said, it's just to make sure physically she's fine. So that's it. Or if she doesn't want us to come in, if she comes to come out, okay, that works.
The enemy is
Hey,
trying to
do what you gotta
take
do,
off
Monk. I appreciate it.
Melanie did not appear surprised to exit the house and encounter the officers. She seemed to know why they were there. The officers, however, were clearly not as well informed.
Captain Sector
Hi,
Charlie.
Melanie.
Target destroyed!
So we'll come back and knock on your door, Monk, and give you all the information. You have any questions for us, Melanie? Yeah, we haven't been told anything. Like I said, they just wanted us to talk to you about, make sure physically and emotionally you were fine as well. Okay? Do you have any other questions for us? What's going on, Melanie? Okay. Well, what are you scared about? Okay. Alright, well, like I said, we'll be right back. If you have any further questions for us, like I said, we'll be back to knock on the door. If anything comes up in between that time, please don't hesitate to ask us. Let us know what's going on, okay?
Detective Oliver of Palm Beach County traveled to Maryland to meet with Melanie. Her cousin allowed him and Polly into the home. At that time, he pressed record on his cell phone. The detective's stated intention was not to arrest the community, only to take her statement. For this reason,
Good
she
stuff!
read
Good
Miranda
fucking stuff!
Detective Oliver offered to speak with Melanie at the kitchen table in her uncle's home. Two of the couples were present.
Basically, everything shows that you just drove
Como
over there
lanza просто.
with the intention of coming in, which is really bad. But if it's something like either that moment, passion, you were trying to defend yourself, this is your opportunity. You're not going to get another opportunity. Most likely. This is your opportunity.
With the family dog whimpering in the background, Melanie explained that she went over to James's house that night just to speak with him. He was breaking up with her, but she didn't believe that he no longer loved her.
Americans sure like to kill each other.
We'll put you over the edge of it just because he broke your heart, I'm guessing. When you used the knife on him, was your intention just to kind of scale? Or you didn't want to kill him, did you? Just tell me that you didn't want to kill him.
She told Detective Oliver that she had taken the knife from the drawer in the kitchen. She knew where all the cutlery and other cooking utensils were kept. Before she ran from the house, she tossed the knife away somewhere in the room. More than once, Melanie indicated that she had not realized how severely James had been injured. She thought he'd be okay and didn't think it was that much. Though she knew enough to run, she drove to Maryland, stopping only at a Walmart on the way to purchase a new cell phone. She also knew not to return to the scene to collect the one she had left there. Melanie was eventually extradited to Florida, where she was held without bond, awaiting trial. She faced charges of manslaughter and second-degree murder. She pleaded not guilty.
Horrific crime, but right now we're going forward in terms of the justice part of the equation. And I'm glad that Melanie is in jail without going to this stage of the game. So
Melanie's attorney, Bruce Lee, promptly filed a motion to have her recorded confession removed from the evidence at trial. Lear argued that common sense proved that the confession offered by Melanie to Detective Oliver was based upon his words and not hers. She had been guided to confess by the predetermined conclusions the detective had made about the case, that she was a rejected girlfriend who stabbed James to death in an angry rage.
I'm saying that my client gave an alleged confession in violation of their constitutional rights, and therefore should be suppressed.
The state countered that no rights were read because Melanie was not under arrest. She was told multiple times that this was the case, and at no time did anyone in the house ask the detectives to leave. At the end of the interview, Detective Oliver asked if Melanie had been comfortable with the conversation. She responded positively.
Oh, did you feel like uncomfortable talking to me?
No, she was very good.
Okay.
You're in second box.
Yeah, you know, try not to get distracted by make it positive positive.
Attempts to have the confession suppressed failed. Melanie Ian stood trial in the autumn of 2018. Her defense team came out swinging with a new theory of the crime. From the moment responders arrived on scene, the defense said the finger was pointed at Melanie. This was an unusual and flawed approach to the investigation, considering 3 adults were found with the victim in a house where all the doors had been locked before 10 p.m. Lear accused Nicola Berry's boyfriend, Guy Pan, of committing the murder, then staging the cell phone to frame his client and otherwise covering up evidence. He argued that Melanie had been in the house at the time of the murder. The shirt she had been wearing that night tested positive for James's blood on the cuff of the right sleeve. Blood was similarly found at the gear shift of her Corolla, a car that was spotted parked out front of the house that night. This evidence was explained by her presence there as a witness. Indeed, they argued that she had been in the room and watched as Guy attacked James. Then she ran to the scene in fear of what she had just witnessed.
Our troops have initiated an
The
attack on
evidence
Echo
will
1.
show that Guy had, for some reason, left the valley before he went to bed. It will show that he picked up the bloody knife, well aware, and he'll admit he was aware that that knife had been used to kill this young man. He picks it up, and he takes it to the picture with the next to the site. It's hard to get with that knife. Destroyed the evidence. His background? Through the bush. And of everyone who was in the house at that time, the mother of the deceased, the best friend of the deceased, and Guy Ann is the one who's saying, she did it, she did it, she did it. Right from the start. Your common sense will tell you who inflicted those mortal wounds. Melanie E. was so horribly frightened by seeing the stabbing of her boyfriend right in front of her eyes by someone. And she got in her car, and she drove like a bat out of hell, and went to a family member in Maryland.
I need a ride.
Guy Hand was a key witness to the prosecution. He testified that he took half a Valium that night at roughly 9:30 p.m. before going to bed because he had napped earlier in the day and was concerned that he would not sleep. The drug had been prescribed to him. Nicola wore earplugs to bed. These circumstances likely impacted how quickly they awoke following the chaos and noise of the attack. When they did awake, it was to screams from Jeff, calling out frantically for someone to call 911.
Something was startled.
And at that point, you were loud enough that you would. At that point in time, are you still dead?
Yes.
Is Nicola still in bed?
Yes.
What do you do once?
Jump out.
Contact, rear!
Screaming, dial 911. Help. Something. James
Sector Bravo is now secure.
And you Big City, Indiana.
Hostile tank spotted. 7 meters from us.
With the help of Jeff, James was lifted off the bed and laid flat to receive CPR. Guy teared up in court, telling the jury about the moment that he realized, while trying to render aid, that it was too late.
Now, at this point, so, even though it wasn't
Yes.
is there a point where you can see that what you want?
I watched the life.
Guy spotted the knife at the end of the bed, admittedly without thinking, as responders rushed into the room. He picked up the knife and carried it into the kitchen.
I picked up the knife. Walking down the hall, laid it on the counter by the trash. Just so no one could kick it.
Upon cross-examination, Guy was pressured by Attorney Leo. Was it not his knife that was used to kill James? Why would he have picked it up and moved it from the scene? When law enforcement documented the scene, they photographed a kitchen towel sitting next to the weapon. Had Guy used that towel to wipe it clean?
You left the murder scene at the request of the police carrying a butcher. Yes.
Guy was also questioned about his choice to partially wash one of his hands at the scene before being photographed by police. Handed water by an officer to drink, he had used it to wash his left hand.
We were outside without inspection by the police. We already moved the murder weapon. We now decided to wash your head. Correct?
Guy Hand also testified that throughout his life, he had received CPR training an estimated 10 to 15 times. For this reason, he took over from Jeff when he came upon the scene that night. During his cross-examination, Guy was asked why he had failed at the most basic principles of CPR. Crucially, the necessity of laying the patient flat on a hard surface. According to his own testimony, James was already collapsed on the floor. Why choose to lift him onto the plush bed? Guy's response was as one would expect. He was in shock. He was traumatized. He did the best he could.
Do you have any
Nicola Berry and Jeff Gilbertowski's accounts of the evening aligned with Guy Hand's testimony. Jeff did not see Melanie attack his friend. He heard James call his name. He was warning his friend to run from the danger. Jeff testified that as James collapsed on the floor, he witnessed Guy rushing to the other bedroom and pushing his way in to help.
Ćemo piška frajeru.
saw Guy hand coming out of the bedroom. Did he have blood all over him? No. Did he appear as if...
A to bude Bastion.
Nicola told the jury that Guy was in the bed alongside her when she awoke that night to Jeff's calls for help. Although she was not in the room as Guy performed CPR, she did leave the house alongside him when responders entered. At that time, she watched Guy grab the knife in the room. She witnessed him drop it on the counter. At no point did she see him try to wipe it down or otherwise try to clean it. Melanie Leo chose not to take the stand in her defense. The state closed their case by emphasizing the hurt and anger that Melanie had expressed over her breakup with James, admitting to Detective Oliver that she was heartbroken. Her pain was so bad that it felt as though her heart could stop, so she decided to stop his as well.
November 16th of 2016, James Barrett broke Melanie's heart. So she, 2 hours later, came to his home and stabbed right above his heart, his chest. Stabbed him. And she did it. And then immediately after she did it, she said. So she tells Detective Oliver in that statement of her own details, where she got the knife, the fact that it's from the door, that James ran off. James chasing, that James ran off. Trying to save his life, ran off for help. And that's when it starts screaming to death, and that's when she hustled out.
Our enemy has conquered more sectors than us.
The defense continued to argue that Guy Hand flagrantly committed a twisted, bloody murder and then successfully pinned the blame on the innocent and traumatized Melanie Leo.
Support drop available.
And he locked all the doors before he went. These are facts you cannot just ignore. You can't just ignore that with one of these special times, 8 slicing, 10 slicing, double blood vessel. Where's the blood of the occupant of the sweater who wanted this?
We control more sectors than the enemy, but this battle is
The jury deliberated for a total of 10 hours before returning to the judge and insisting that they were deadlocked. It was not a matter of guilty versus not guilty, however, but a disagreement over the application of the charges. Of the 6-person jury, 4 jurors voted to convict her of second-degree murder with a weapon, while 2 thought she committed the lesser offense of manslaughter. In Florida, a conviction of second-degree murder requires intent, while manslaughter is the result of recklessness or negligence. The judge declared a mistrial, and a new jury would be selected and passed, with again trying to make this distinction. When the retrial commenced in January 2019, the defense's tactics and theory had not changed, nor had the foundation of the prosecution's case. Included in the defense's argument was the assertion that through the course of the attack, the knife had been jammed so hard that the blade had been bent. Was it not more likely that this pointed to an adult male killer and not a 90-pound female? The state, conversely, leaned into the confession. Why, if you have just witnessed a murder in which you took no part, would you not mention who the real killer is to police when questioned? Or even hint that you were a witness, not the killer?
Yeah.
Instead, Melanie offered details of committing the murder. When asked how many times she stabbed James, she had replied, "It's not like I was counting."
More than once? She says yes. That's what she says on the tape. And ladies and gentlemen, because she's not counting how many times she stabs him, does not negate her guilt, doesn't negate her intent. If you actually listen to what she said, it's not like I was counting how many times.
Detective,
She's trying to stab him. Not going at it again and again. Ladies and gentlemen, that is back to second-degree murder. At that time, she has so much hatred for him. She has so much hatred for him. And an inflamed mind at the time that she had.
Melanie stood motionless while the verdict was read.
You captured all of Sector Charlie.
We find the jury finds
Questo gioco anche ero, non ce faccio. Are troppo oneste. Are anche secondary current stringe troppo facile.
At Melanie's sentencing hearing, a clinical and forensic psychologist testified that she believed Melanie was a victim of long-term physical and sexual abuse at the hands of her mother. This was the first that such evidence was being presented to court. The prosecutor pointed out that the abuse was self-reported by Melanie and a cousin, but there had never been any social services or police reports to verify it. Judge Glenn Kelly said he considered a sentence of life in prison, though he had to also weigh other factors: her age, her lack of criminal history, and that the charge was in the second degree. Judge Glenn sentenced Melanie Ian to 50 years in prison. She will be over 70 years old when she is released.
And we would really get life in this case, didn't hurt that feeling, but we are so pleased in terms of the 15 years that Judge Kelly handed down to Melanie, because that is a lifetime. And she gets to think of what she did every single day when she wakes up inside those walls of the jail. You miss every single piece of him every single day. There's not a second that goes by that you're not thinking about his future, what he had, his potential, going to college, working, him having children down the road, and just everything in life is gone, has been taken away. That's the hardest part.
He was a good soul. He didn't have a mean bone in his body. He loved life. He loved his family. He loved his friends. He's very loyal. He loved animals. He was just all perfect kid and a perfect son.
And that was the tragic case of James Berry. Thank you for joining me, and a special thanks this week to Darren Wilson, Megan Boards, Mary Hess, and Diva by Nature for becoming Sherlock Holmes members and joining our lounge. We really appreciate your extra support. I'm Kevin. This is Just Not Lounge. And we'll see you next one.
Hostile!
Was a free spirit. Friends remarked about her calm presence. She believed in the power of love to heal all things. On the morning of the 15th of May, 2020, Katie went missing. That same morning, a disturbing text message began circulating amongst her social circle, sparking concerns that something horrific may have befallen the loving mother of a baby. The text accused Katie of manipulation. They referred to her as a devil. Friends saw this message and immediately feared the worst. Hi there, I'm Kevin, and welcome to Just Not Lounge. Today's case takes us to the beautiful suburb of Dover, Massachusetts, where Katie McLean and her husband, Dr. Engel Turk, or Harry Friends, appear to be living a blissful life in their $2 million mansion. Of course, things are not always as they appear. And after Katie went missing, two opposing versions of this life came into view. Somewhere in this couple's chaotic history is the truth. So let's take a look.
Sector Echo is in Allied hands.
Don't have...
around 8 a.m. on a Friday morning in early 2020. Vanessa Pettigrew was at home with her husband and children when she received an ominous and concerning message to her phone. The text had originally been received by a man named Kurt, who had decided to forward it to me. Kurt did so because the message was about Vanessa's close friend, Kathleen, or McLean, and had been written by Katie's husband, Harry. Katie and Harry had been estranged and had reconciled only days earlier. The text read, "Kurt, I am sorry, brother, but she is a vindictive devil. She played us all. I'm really sorry, brother, but she manipulated us all. Love you, Harry." In response, Kurt had messaged, "What happened?" Harry did not respond. He called Katie's cell phone but received no answer. As time passed without a response from either Katie or Harry, his concerns grew. Kurt and Vanessa had established a code word weeks earlier. If Katie ever needed their help, she was to message them about popcorn. After forwarding the alarming text from Harry, Kurt wrote to Vanessa, "We might have a popcorn situation." They both believed Katie was in danger. Also unable to reach Katie on her cell phone, Vanessa drove out to the long-stay hotel residence where Harry had been staying while the couple worked through their marital issues. In the parking lot was the Mercedes that Harry usually drove. Katie's Jeep was also parked nearby. But there was no response to calls made up in the room. So Vanessa drove to the home that Katie and Harry had shared at 29 Valley Road in Dover. Prior to the separation, the couple lived in the $2 million mansion with Katie's 3 children. That morning, Vanessa knocked on the door and peered through the windows. At the side door, she spotted 15-year-old Sam who caught his attention. All 3 of Katie's teenage children, Sam, Grace, and Sophie, were safe at home. Their mother, however, was not.
Enemy vehicle destroyed!
With the children out of the house, officers scanned the exterior of the large property. They did not find any sign of Katie or Harry. However, inside the house, small but tiny clues suggested a violent altercation had taken place. Through the garage and then into the downstairs hallway, a pattern began to emerge on the floor. 2 tiny dark spots, spaced a few inches apart, followed by another pair of the same dark stains 2 feet further along on the floor. The trail was visible from just inside the doorway. It led through the kitchen where countertops displayed dirty martini glasses and half-empty bottles of liquor. From there, the stains led towards the stairs. Following the pattern to the second floor and down another hallway, officers noted that the door frame to the bedroom at the end of the hall had significant damage. The door jamb had been splintered, the lock ruined, and the door forced open. In the room, the trail led to the end of the bed. Shards of glass were scattered at the base. 2 broken glasses, one on the chest of drawers, and a second which had rolled under a nightstand, appeared to be the source of the shattered pieces. The bedding sat in a pile on the floor next to the bed itself. The mattress stained with what was later confirmed to be Katie's blood. On the nightstand was a large bag. It was Katie's purse. Officers gave her cell phone a call and waited as the purse began to vibrate. They found her iPhone inside. The home screen was full of notifications. All of the missed calls and messages that had been pouring in from her many concerned family members and friends. 45-year-old Katie McLean, dedicated mother of 3, was also a healer. Through her business, Birch Tree Energy and Healing, she provided services as a Reiki master. Reiki is a Japanese energy healing technique that uses hand placements to channel universal life energy known as Ki. The treatment is used to promote relaxation and well-being by easing stress, reducing pain, and supporting emotional and spiritual healing. She also advertised her abilities as a psychic medium. A free spirit, Katie was known to her many friends as a woman of grace, who sought always to support and care for others. It is not surprising then that roughly a year after her second divorce, she fell for another healer. Indeed, a celebrated surgeon who spent his days saving lives. The 58-year-old, who went by Harry, was born in Gulf Turk and spent the first 30 years of his life in East Germany, emigrating to the United States not long after the fall of the Berlin Wall. He was a former athlete in the decathlon, having attended the 1980 Moscow Olympics as an alternate on the East German team. Later, Harry had served in the German Air Force and attended medical school. In Massachusetts, the doctor had been recruited by St. Elizabeth's Medical Center for the progressive, life-saving expertise he held in robotic surgery. He became the chief of urology. The hospital used his face on a billboard campaign across the state, and in 2012, he was featured in a promotional video.
Dr. Ingolf Turk is not your typical surgeon. At 6'3" with an athletic physique, it's easy to see why he was once a member of the German Olympic decathlon team.
Surgery is physical, very demanding work. For hours, you are physically involved in surgery, and that requires that you're physically fit as a surgeon.
But what makes Dr. Turk truly different is his skill at robotic surgery. He is convinced that robotic surgery leads to better outcomes for his patients.
On May 15th, with his wife considered a missing and endangered person, police found the doctor unconscious in his hotel room. He was immediately rushed to the hospital. Harry's blood alcohol level was so high, even when tested hours after he had passed out, that a note was made on his medical record suggesting that he may have attempted to purposefully poison himself. Harry was also covered in scratches. What was striking to law enforcement were the number and nature of these minor injuries. The surgeon had cuts, some more severe than others, on areas all over his body. He had small marks on his hands, notably above his thumb and index finger. He had scratches on his arms, his calves, his thighs. The marks on his hands and arms were typical of defense wounds. There were 2 small abrasions on his hairline. None of these injuries were serious, yet many pointed to the worst possible conclusion, that Harry and his missing wife had a violent altercation. While Harry recuperated and received treatment, investigators obtained a search warrant for both of his vehicles, the Mercedes and the Jeep. The search and subsequent forensic tests on the Mercedes did not return anything useful. The Jeep, however, had a story to tell. A stain on the steering wheel was a match to Katie's blood. Similarly, testing of swabs taken from the external and internal door handles on the driver's side, passenger side, and the trunk all returned results linked to Katie. A half-empty bottle of scotch was left on the passenger seat. When the bottle was moved, there was a small knife visible behind it. The knife did not have Katie's DNA, but it was nonetheless obvious that she had been in the Jeep after sustaining injuries in the bedroom. Her husband had been absent from his hotel for most of the night, returning at roughly 5:30 a.m. He had been driving the Jeep. It was the following day, 30 hours after Harry had been taken to the hospital for treatment, when detectives conducted a formal interview. The surgeon told them that he had little to no recollection of the previous day.
Yesterday? Completely different kind of thing.
Yeah, anything I must have found a lot. Yeah. We're trying to get to, how you ended up here, I can't tell you. I'm sorry, but I can't remember. But I spoke up yesterday. Okay. You don't know how you ended up here? You do not know. I can't really remember. When's the last time you saw
facility in a long area, and now one of our subs is trying to get substantial Russian naval force converging on us. We don't know exactly what they want, but they are going to get it. You're being deployed to secure the facility. Coordinate with other task forces on site. Command out.
Harry was prompted by detectives with the facts they had already deduced. There must have been an argument, and it must have turned physical.
Tell me about the argument you guys had Thursday night. The argument you guys had Thursday night? Yes. Tell me a little bit about that.
The issue with Harry's assertion that he had no memory of the events of the previous Thursday evening was that he did not show signs of extreme intoxication until after returning to his hotel room. He was captured pulling out his wallet for a key card to access the building and entering without so much as a stumble.
No, I'm driving.
Don't call for more sectors than them. We'll be defeated here.
So the Denver Police Department got called to the residence in Friday at 11 a.m. for a well-being check on Kathleen because no one had heard from her since 6 p.m. Thursday evening. When I got there, we located the white Jeep and your Mercedes parked in the parking lot. You told us earlier that you believe that you were operating the white Jeep at one point. The white Jeep was parked between the lines, perfectly fine. There was nothing wrong with the exterior of the Jeep indicating that you may have been intoxicated. So, how can you not remember driving that Jeep back to the hotel?
The interview lasted roughly 3 hours. Eventually, Harry requested a break. Returning after 45 minutes, Harry began telling a story of what had transpired at 29 Valley 2 days earlier. He and Katie had played a game with the children. Later in the evening, after several martinis, they had gone to the bedroom. Their reconciliation had been bumpy. According to the doctor, his wife had jealousy issues. She routinely checked his phone and read his messages. He claimed that she read his email. She frequently accused him of cheating, he said. So it was that night. Harry was texting with an old friend, a female friend.
Then she looked at my phone and saw a text message with an old friend that she always despises. She wanted to see what we talked about during our separation time. I said, don't do this because there's angry words in there because we're very angry at each other. And,
enemy vessel destroyed!
Look at the messages because they're not true for today. That was true 3 months ago. But she wanted to see what has been said. And then she got very angry again because she saw some stuff that she didn't like.
Harry painted his Reiki master wife as violent and aggressive. He claimed that she threw a glass at him, striking him on the right side of his head. So he reached out instinctively to defend himself.
And then what?
We're taking more sectors today. Make sure we don't lose our advantage.
As a reaction to the aggressive aggression.
They're done for!
We've gotten over the hump, getting over the hauling cost. Let's get rid of it. Let's get rid of it.
A critical question remained. Where was Katie?
She is the water? Okay. Like a lake of a pond. Wow, where is this one?
Vehicle destroyed!
Nothing waiting for now. Is there anything else you want to say, Harry?
Sorry, but I was
A 2-minute drive from the house on Valley Road is another rural property on Francis Street. It is set back from the road and surrounded by woodland. Harry and Katie had once considered purchasing it as their new family home. A small pond was positioned to the left of the long drive. As law enforcement descended on the area to search the water, they discovered a small black tank top caught on the branch of a nearby tree. The woodland floor was covered in thorns, the likely cause of Harry's many lighter scratches. When Katie was pulled from the water, they found her topless. 2 large rocks, each weighing an estimated 16 pounds, had been stuck into the pockets of her trousers, causing her to sink to the bottom. The medical examiner found her cause of death to be strangulation. The manner? Homicide. Katie and her 3 children had moved into the house at 29 Valley Road in March 2018, a few months after meeting Harry on Bumble. Roughly 2 years later, they eloped at a drive-thru chapel in Las Vegas. Harry was there for a medical conference. From there, accounts differ. In Harry's version, Katie had acquired the marriage license in advance. The plan to marry in Vegas had taken him by surprise. Just 5 weeks later, he saw an annulment.
It came from the
Harry
front!
claimed that Katie discovered an email from his lawyer about dissolving the marriage, and it was this discovery that motivated her to take out a restraining order against him. She made up claims about his aggressions to police to secure his protective order, he said. Only after Harry placed her name on the deed to the house and signed a postnuptial agreement did she agree to attempt a reconciliation. After receiving financial compensation, Katie rescinded the restraining order and allowed him back in the house. Conversely, it was asserted that Katie was the one seeking a divorce from her controlling and abusive husband. Prior to the pandemic, the doctor had been facing a malpractice suit, which alleged he had charged Medicare more than $31,000 over a 6-year period for services he did not perform. Initially, he allegedly hid this lawsuit from Katie. Just before the couple eloped, Harry settled that lawsuit, agreeing to pay a $150,000 fine, and was fired from his job at St. Elizabeth's. He did not take his fall from grace with dignity. He took it out on Katie. As his abuse escalated, she was forced to go to police. Arriving at Dover police station disheveled, the screen of her iPhone shattered, and she was crying. 2 versions of events were reported to police. Katie told officers at the front desk that Harry had been violent and she was filing for divorce. She didn't want to press charges, she just wanted them to know in case something happened to her. While at the station, Harry arrived. He said he had come by because he was worried his wife was going to make false accusations against him. He said Katie was the jealous and controlling one. He had never been violent, and he was leaving her to return to Germany. If only he had done so. Before he could make the move, the pandemic hit. He had to stay in the United States, and Katie's restraining order forced him from the house. Ultimately, in early May, the couple agreed to reconcile. But regardless of who you believe, issues in their relationship had already been firmly embedded. The reconciliation was not likely to be successful. Dr. Ingolf Turk, or just Harry, the Harley Davidson-loving former Olympian-turned-celebrated surgeon, was arrested and charged with the first-degree murder of his wife. As the trial commenced, the jury also had the option of convicting him on the lesser charge of voluntary manslaughter, should they find that he acted with passion. Harry's defense team, however, was going for the third option, an outright acquittal. Defense attorney Kevin Weatherford argued his client acted in self-defense after his wife attacked him with a cocktail glass, and crucially, was attempting to force him out of the house. In May 2020, the COVID-19 pandemic was raging. Due to the restraining order Katie had taken out against him, Harry had been forced to live in a hotel as the couple worked through their issues. He believed living there made him more susceptible to the virus, and by extension, death. According to his lawyer, his wife was motivated by sheer greed and forced him from his house during a public health crisis. In doing so, she had threatened his life. At least, that is what the surgeon believed, when, in desperation, he strangled.
It says that he, with his anger, decided that he was going to murder her. Well, that's a good life choice, huh? But what actually happened, and you see the evidence is pretty clear, but what happens is they're in the bedroom, and they're arguing, and she's talking about the other men, She's got hundreds of fans after her on these websites. Do you think I really loved you? Do you think I really loved you? I'm calling the police tomorrow. You're getting out of here. Yet in the course of an argument, she had a rocks glass in her hand. She had her cell phone in the other hand. He got on his knees. He said, Katie, please don't smash the rocks glass off his head. The right side of his head, but the left side like the police knife. At that point, with one hand, the size of it, you strengthen that hand. You grab it, she died.
The couple's dysfunctional marriage was the basis of both the defense and prosecution's arguments at trial. For the defense, this was Katie manipulating Harry for money, even while she pursued other men. For the Commonwealth, it was Harry's anger and resentment at his wife for forcing him from the house he had purchased, despite a public health crisis. He eventually found himself living out of a friend's camper in Florida after all of his other options had been exhausted. Then, that camper was sold. Desperate for somewhere to live, Harry claimed he was pressured into adding Katie's name to the deed for the house and into signing a postnuptial agreement in order to return to his home. According to those close to Katie, however, in April 2020, Harry offered to add her name to the deed as a gesture to signify his devotion and commitment to their reconciliation. It was meant to be a fresh start. It did not turn out that way.
I am sorry, brother, but she is a vindictive devil. I am really sorry, brother, but she manipulated us all. Love you, Harry. And in the course of this trial, you also hear evidence about the defendant's anger towards Katie McClain. Evidence of anger that will prove that he is guilty of first-degree murder.
Vanessa Pettigrew took the stand to tell the jury about the belief that she did and the way her good friend viewed her marriage. She was not motivated by greed, but rather still loved her husband and wanted him to work. But she was also a mother who needed to consider the security of her children, how his behavior impacted them, and conversely, how a divorce would uproot them from the lives they had established and over.
She had to weigh the pros and cons. She was very concerned about her children having a normal, stable life. She wanted the best for her kids. That's all she wanted.
And did they move towards reconciliation, if you know?
They did. And there were several things that they had to decide upon with each other that they would do moving forward to make it work, including having Dr. Turk undergo some psychiatric help and to refrain from alcohol.
Excuse me. Sustained. Please disregard that last answer is stricken. Next question.
Vanessa's cross-examination was uncomfortable. She defended Katie's use of dating apps during her separation. She fought back against the implication that Katie was obsessive over Harry's movements, monitoring his messages, emails, and tracking his location through an app on her phone. This behavior went both ways, according to Vanessa. Vanessa pushed back on the defense's repeated assertion that the family home was not also Katie's. Technically, she was not put on the deed until the month of her death, but that's not the whole story.
For May of 2020, it was his home, right? Well, you know he owned the home, right?
Well, she put money into the home too. So
like what?
She put money from her home sale into the home, and she also helped build the garden in the back.
She didn't put a nickel into that home.
That's not my understanding.
Well, it may not be your understanding, but she didn't put a nickel into your home.
That's not my understanding.
Ma'am, you need
sorry.
Disregard that last answer.
If Vanessa's testimony is false, it hardly touched upon the awkwardness of Kurt Pannenstiel's cross-examination. Kurt was the neighbor who received the unsettling text message from Harry on the morning he disappeared. It seems the neighbor who the surgeon had called brother had been in more frequent contact with Katie than her husband. Before handing over his phone to police, the defense team grilled Kurt as to why he would delete almost all correspondence he had with both Harry and Katie.
Oh my god.
You had indicated to the police that she had given you, strike that, he had given you a text indicating that she was a devil, I'm sorry, things of that nature, correct? Calling you brother, right?
Oh, you what?
Calling the text that he sent you, calling you brother, and saying, sorry, she was a devil. So when you gave your phone to the police, you had that particular text.
Most sectors
Yes.
now occupied by hostiles.
You and Kate.
I don't recall what I did.
You remember taking your phone and reading texts, hundreds of texts when you were listening?
Lost an objective.
No, I don't.
You remember reading the text when you were?
No, I don't remember.
Taking photographs or videos or
No, I don't recall.
what did you say to her?
I want to see your boobs.
I want to see your boobs. Did she show you her boobs?
Harry took the stand to tell his version of events. He began by explaining the nature of his and Katie's drowning wedding in Vegas, which he likened to picking up burgers for dinner. He testified about the friends that allowed him to crash on their couches in the early days of the pandemic. Eventually, a former boss allowed him to live out of the camper in Florida. But by May 2020, his record was being sold and he needed to leave. He told jurors that it was Kurt who reached out to him, handing the phone to Katie, who told him to come home to Massachusetts. She missed him and wanted to
Contact
mend the
front
marriage.
side!
The Commonwealth countered that the reconciliation had been prompted by Harry, not Katie. Regardless, he drove back and rented a suite at the Marriott.
Your state of mind about getting sick?
I was scared. I started to, the news about thousands of people dying every day started to get to me, and I didn't feel safe in the hotel without my own personal space. I believed I potentially belonged to the risk population of being 58 years old and not being safe, not being exposed to the environment.
The reconciliation was not straightforward. It came with conditions for the fight.
So I was loving, kind, and accommodating, very accommodating, and expressed my love to her. Yes. She asked me to put her name on the deed. I did.
I mean, this is
If I wouldn't have done it, I wouldn't have been able to come home.
So you signed the deed transferring the person to right?
Correct.
You also signed a post-nuptial agreement.
It was part of it that I had to sign to be allowed to come back home. I did. Yes.
As the two argued in the bedroom that night, Harry recounted how, as his wife attacked him, he had reacted. Harry testified that he had no intention of killing his wife. He also provided details that were omitted when he first confessed to the police. In his new version, he had dropped to his knees to beg Katie to calm down. He also said he grabbed her neck with only one hand, not two, a conclusion questioned by the medical examiner. Finally, to the jury, he claimed that afterwards, before he dropped her half-naked body in a pond, he had tried CPR.
Down and said, "Please, Katie, stop. Please, Katie, please stop." And she was in the bed, and I kind of walked around and tried to calm her down, and I went on my knees and begged her to stop, please.
You went on your knees.
No, my knees.
You begged her to stop.
Yes.
And what did she say?
I said, "Fuck you."
What happened then?
She hit me
With what?
with glass.
You know that? She hit you with the glass?
Yes.
And where did she hit you with the glass?
Right on my head.
When she hit you with the glass, you get cut.
Yes, I bled. I snapped, I kind of blacked out.
They've got Sector Delta.
I grabbed her.
Where?
Grabbed her and killed her.
All sectors in enemy hands.
Piece of shit.
On her neck.
How?
No.
That's the pond.
I put her in the water.
You put her in the water. Take her top off.
No, I did not.
What happens to the top?
I have no idea.
Prosecutors questioned Harry's assertion that the former Olympian was in fear for his life. Was it not more likely that he was angry over being forced from the house once again? The house he considered to be his alone.
You felt that the house was yours, right?
I bought it. It wasn't my name.
You feel like it was your property?
Yes.
And you still feel that way, right?
Well, I shared the deed with her. I don't know. I was as long gone. I was afraid of being strangled. She threatened me so that I'm gonna kick her out of the house. She asked me to get the fuck out of my house.
Battle's lost. We don't need any more
Oh,
losses
stau
today.
pe pumbit, stau.
I was afraid of dying of COVID.
You were afraid of dying of COVID, and you were afraid of having to
I was afraid of dying of COVID.
But there was also the question of intent. How does a board-certified surgeon apply the force required to strangle someone and not realize while doing so that their actions will result in death?
I'm not intoxicated, I know that, yes.
If you're not intoxicated, you know that if the brain isn't getting enough oxygen for any reason, death occurs.
Yeah, when I'm not drunk, I know all that, yes.
But when you are drunk,
Oh, nice.
don't know that if your brain doesn't
The call
have
just
oxygen,
came in. They're putting a unit together.
Probably do.
you probably do what?
Do know. I do know, but anyway, yes.
That's a basic medical concept, right?
Yes.
Reddington closed by asserting that the case was entirely about money. Katie had inquired about her name being on the house deed in the event of Harry's death. Her husband had also agreed in the postnuptial agreement to give her the Jeep, which she usually drove. She had received some money upon signing the agreement as well.
If he dies, do I get the house? If he dies, do I get the house? You saw that from the text twice that she sent to Mr. Titan about the deed, the deed, the deed. Get on the house, get on the property, get on the property, you own it. If he dies, you get it. Height of the pandemic. Get out. You heard. Get out. Get out. Go walk to your hotel. Leave the car. The car's mine. No, it's not. Well, the judge says it is, as is the house. This is all about money. All about money. And she played him pretty darn good.
There's prenup.
Hey you, and well, my name is Mike, and in this whole video we're going to Vancouver, you know, Canada for a change. I've never been there, but I feel like I have. I can cross it off the bucket list, just like this guy with the really cool name of Rocky Rambo Wayne Cap. Yeah, dude, okay, we're jealous of your name, obviously. Just like he crossed off his bucket lists. You know, maybe video games, reality.
Contact forward!
So when he believed life was a video game. Unfortunately for everybody else, it was Mortal Kombat. Because he done Mortal Kombat and, you know, it's a whole thing. Let's give it a go.
Russian forces captured an objective. Hostiles now control Sector Echo.
To Marpole, we're headed a lovely L neighborhood located right between Vancouver Airport and Vancouver proper. You fly in, it'll be the first place you see. It's an old area inhabited 4,000 years ago. Jeez, you think you'd be sick of the place, but no, people are still living there. 25,000 people 4,000 years later. It's a heavily residential area. The demographic is primarily Asian. And to quote, Vancouver is awesome. Promises to attract a younger, hipper demographic. So check it out. Sounds bodacious. So in a little old Marple lived a little old couple.
Supplies received. Package ready to
Diana
go.
Ma Jones and Richard
The enemy
Jones.
strategy is working. We must secure
Diana
more
was a
sectors.
well-loved, well-respected occupational therapy consultant, where she would attach sausage balloons to people's necks.
When she came, we tried a variety of different colors of foam and wire. They were just too rigid or didn't provide a witness support. So in the middle of the night, it came to me that we should try air as a dynamic component.
She'd gone to school at the University of Alberta, Central Michigan University, before settling down in good old Vancouver.
Hello. You know the father.
Yes,
You know
yes.
the right. Work it hard, too. Please don't leave it to the night.
She worked first at Vancouver Coastal Health before becoming a consultant herself in 1999, inventing devices which helped the physically disabled. Her husband Richard, 68 years old, he was physically disabled himself. Diana and Richard, having been married for roughly 40 years in 2017. Diana was also a member of the Razzmatazz, a dance troupe she'd been a member of since she moved to Vancouver 25 years previous. On the 27th of September 2017, a Wednesday, Diana failed to show up for work. She hadn't called in sick, she hadn't told anybody, she wouldn't be in. So it was very unlikely 64-year-old Diana to just not turn up. She would let them know she wouldn't be in. She was like the big dog. And so, they started calling the house in Marple. And the phone would continually ring out. It was a couple of hours into the start of the workday that a co-worker of Diana's, a fella named Anthony, decided he would go over and check on them to see if everything was alright. It wasn't, like at all.
Marking hot zone. Spotted an enemy transport.
I worked yesterday. A lot of co-workers were surprised that the students called in sick. Not on vacation. It's very uncharacteristic of her. But the back door is open. I think there's blood everywhere. I think I need to come over. I'm going to stay at the host. I don't think I should go in. I'm going to assume you need police and ambulance, man. Front door is locked, back door is open. There's a trail of blood coming, footsteps coming down the steps. And for what it's worth, man, there's that knife in the front pathway. It's in a plastic cover, right? But what kind of made me go around back is there's also a hatchet on the front yard with like this across.
What's our status?
Taking control, point by point.
Not a subtle scene exactly, leaving a bloody hatchet out front and a bloody knife out in the back in plain view for anyone to see. He did eventually go into the house, and it was even worse.
I peeked inside, it looks like there's blood all over the floor, man. I hope I'm overreacting. I hope it's just, I don't know.
Yes!
There was a shit ton of blood, a metric shit ton. It was horrific. Both Diana Ma Jones and Richard Jones had been brutally murdered. This was, as you can imagine, an absolute shock to just everyone. It's in that neighborhood, it's a nice little couple. Why would this happen?
Officers are combing the whole city block, searching for any evidence after a double murder discovered Wednesday inside his Marple home. Police found the bodies of 65-year-old Diana Ma Jones and her husband, 68-year-old Richard Jones.
We haven't been able to discover a clear motive in this event. We don't know if it's targeted. We don't know if it's a random act.
Police went door to door just trying to find anything. They warned the public to be on the lookout, stay frosty. It seemed first of all to be maybe a home invasion gone awry. And if it happened once, it could happen again. The day before, everything had seemed absolutely grand. Diana had her dance practice, did a bit of shopping, went back to her hubby, nothing untoward. Those who saw her said she was in grand form. Richard, much the same, he was buying a few tasty treats at the off-license, and it was then back home himself. And it seemed that while they were both out Killer was in. Well, not exactly in, he was outside. But as the investigation began, it looked like it was when they came home that Tuesday night. What happened. This person somehow gained access to the house. Maybe the front door had been left unlocked. Might have followed Diana into the house, where he slit her throat and then hacked and slashed at Richard, leaving more than 100 wounds on his body. It was obviously very bloody, and there was quite a struggle at the house. Drag marks, bodies moved. They were both found in the shower.
Oh, magic!
One thing that was found, and that was kind of weird, was that after the murder, the killer kind of just milled about. He ate a peach, he had some bunya, that's milk, and then, milled about, stole a few bucks, and then did a legger in Diana's car, which he, well, took and drove. There's something of peaches and milk that's just kind of gross. But see, that was the thing, not much was stolen. Just, like I said, just a few books and the car. The car would later be found about like 12 hours after the police discovered the scene. Jewelry remained, laptops, TVs, valuables you think would be stolen. That's when the, home invasion, breaking and entering gone wrong, that kind of lost steam. Now it seemed worse than that.
It's very double homicide in our city is rare. Homicide that's not connected to the criminal lifestyle, I would say, is even more rare.
Residents are now being asked to call 911 if they see anything suspicious or if they have a gut feeling that something just isn't right.
Whoever did this, they were no pro, let me tell you. As I said, they found Diana's car within a few hours, a couple of blocks from the house. It had been dumped. At the scene, they found DNA. They found it around the house and under Diana's fingernails. It didn't match Diana, it didn't match Richard, or anyone else they already had in their system. Also, the hatchet that they found in the garden. The hatchet that, well, the murder weapon. It still had its barcode on it, so they could trace when and where it had been purchased from. They traced the suspect quite quickly, and they saw him buy the hatchet, gloves, and a hat in early September. They also had footage of this guy dumping Diana's car. However, they had no idea who this guy was. They started staking out the Marpole area and Canadian Tire, where the hatchet and other items had been purchased from.
Our forces are advancing to take Alpha 2.
It was at the end of October, so about a month after the murder, that an officer, having a flyer of this guy, hooked up an eyeball. Recognized instantly. But they had to be sure they needed hard proof, like DNA, to see if it matched what was found under Diana's fingernails. They started following this guy and learned his name. Rocky Rambo Wayne Antown. That's on his birth certificate. It's real name, yeah. No wonder he became a killer. His parents obviously hated him. As far as the police knew, he had no relationship with the Joneses. They were strangers. No criminal history, nothing was known about him. This guy was a ghost. Kinda literally. So he was suspect number one. They knew his name. They knew where he lived. That was it. Even following him was difficult, because they had nowhere to follow him to. They shadowed him and they watched him for about 2 weeks. During that 2-week span, he left his home 3 times. Just going into the house, staying inside like pretty much all the time. How they managed to get his DNA was like so. One of the times he did come out, a cop, undercover, went up to him and asked him for help opening a water bottle. He obliged. Fine, so he used his key to open the water bottle. I'm like, nah, fine. You can keep it. And that was that. They had him. It matched the DNA on that water bottle from his teeth marks. Matched what they found at the house. He was arrested and charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder in November 2017. So what do we know about Rocky Rambo Wayne Antown? Well, he was born in Hong Kong on the 2nd of August 1992. He moved to Calgary when he was a teen and studied economics at the University of Alberta. I mean, after all he did, is it any surprise he's a Patriots fan? So yeah, not really much is known about Rocky himself. Other than, by the way, what his roommate said. His roommate said he was a nice guy. Much like his roommate, who did this when reporters showed up.
Cam was arrested Monday at a rundown house on Granville Street. This man answered the door there this afternoon.
Can you tell us anything about Rocky?
Yeah, he was a nice guy, and I guess he was up. Get off my property!
As we were leaving, the man attacked us and another TV news crew.
Break those right now!
Hey, don't do anything!
Get off my property!
So 25 years old, has one older brother and one younger sister, not particularly close with either. They both also live in Canada. He had moved to Vancouver during the summer of 2017 to, quote, try his luck. Bummer, he wasn't having much luck. He was unemployed at the time, having trouble getting a job, though. How hard was he really trying? Because finding a job is difficult and it was not his passion. Not at all, let me tell you. His passion was video games.
I want to play video games, but that's not
No, we don't have a lot of video games, Rob. That's true.
Specifically, Scott, you're looking at the Dragonborn himself, but come on, I think at the end of the day, we all know who the real Dragonborn is. This guy.
We're taking damage! Never should have come here!
Muurtiko tämä logi?
That question just want to put some water. So like I explained to you, the conversation there was private. I'm still recording this, I'm switching this off and then this interview there was really quick. Okay, you full name, Rocky Ramble Wave. Yes. Yeah, that was right. I don't like that. Oh. I don't like all of them or something else? Rocky Ramble. Well, yeah, I know. Not much, no. Is that the name of the parents? Yeah. He's huh? Yeah. So oh well. No. Well, but everyone could. Yeah, after they know my name, they could should know me like Rocky Rambo. Oh, that guy. When you meet people, you mean? Yeah. Yeah. Oh, Rocky Rambo. Oh, Rocky Rambo. Oh, sure. Yeah, that guy, right? Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's quite unusual man.
So, Rocky was brought into the interrogation room. I hope you like, sounds. I really wish the interviewer hadn't brought him in a chicken sandwich. I just want you guys to know, the interview is about 9 hours long. I had to listen to the entire thing. And he eats through quite a lot of it, or just makes general notes on sounds. I nearly lost my marbles.
Good job,
The interview mainly consists of this.
Here they are here. Do you recognize those folks?
Charlie in enemy hands.
the shit about this guy. I'm good. What the hell is that? Like, how are you doing that? How are you sitting there saying, thanks? You know, I can sit there and I can feel that you are feeling something. I can see that you're emotional. Why aren't you taking this chance to at least express your thoughts? Maybe today you're not ready to talk about the whole ugly story, but at least say you're sorry. For what?
Fire from the...
You're an animal.
Kids have their reserves. This is their last shot.
Taking fire!
The enemy has taken
Rocky
sector Delta.
never confessed, broke, admitted.
I'm not sure if you understand the magnitude of magnitude, largeness. You know that. Yeah, you know the magnitude of what's going to happen. What's going on. I got you on video doing those things. I don't want you to sit there thinking this is nothing. I don't have to worry about this. You have to worry about this, Rocky. It's not a laughing matter. It's not.
What was going through his head, quite frankly, your guess is as good as mine. We've got no information whatsoever to tie the victims to the accused.
Police were not expecting this to be the guy. He's just a kid who really loves video games and comics and all that. Nothing bad in his history, nothing that would point to what was done.
Yeah. Back to work.